This is a Valentine special that we're getting to do. I did not plan it. We're just coming into chapter 7 of our book, and it's all set up to be a Valentine special. February of every year, I got to talk about love. On my major sharing on social media, I talk about love, and it so happens that God has orchestrated it that at the book club this February, going into March, we're going to be discussing about love. Abraham, I think it's Abraham who said it, but someone said it that there are no coincidences in life. Coincidences are God's way of hiding himself. So I believe in the hand of God in everything that I do. So if it's happening that we're talking about love at this season, then that's what God will have us do. And that's what God will have us discuss, share with one another, build one another up on. We're like, this is reading through the book, and this is our 6th book in our book club, The Good Life. We've been on this book. We've been reading this since the first Sunday of July last year, and it doesn't want to end. This chapter 7 alone is looking at something we're going to take the whole of February, March to do. So I love it. Like I say all the time, we're not in a hurry. We're not going to drag a topic. We're not going to be in a hurry. Right, we're gonna take what the time it takes to learn and enjoy whatsoever we're reading, discussing on. It will not be a drag. It will not be a hurry. We're gonna take our time to absorb as much as we can. This is not about counting how many books in a certain period. It's just about extracting all we can, soaking everything we can. The true mark of success or failure of our time together is the life that is changed. If our life changes for good, then we're succeeded, right? I'm not here to fill myself or yourself with knowledge. No, I know a lot, right? I'm not young. I know a lot. I'm not young in every aspect you can look at it, right? I know a lot, and there's a lot I don't know. But what's the use of knowledge if it cannot be seen in my life, right? So I'm done with just accumulating knowledge or someone saying I know. I'm all about living it. I'm all about the results in my life. If what I know cannot be seen in my life, that knowledge is useless, right? I'm only interested in the knowledge that is seen practically come to life, taking flesh in my life, right? If I preach about success, then there should be success in my life. If I preach about fulfillment, then there should be fulfillment in my life. If I speak about love, then there should be love in my life, right? None of this is for the sake of talking. It's for the sake of living it. Living it, right? The benefit is not in heaven. The benefit is here, right? It's not just spiritual. It is psychological and physical. If I don't get the benefit here, then I don't need it in heaven. Right? Like we got to say, right? We're all here to have a human experience. We're spirit, but we came here for a reason to have a human experience, right? And our sources of failure in this realm is to the extent to which we have that human experience, right? That's one of the indicators of a good life, right? Which is the book we're talking about, a good life. A good life is about having a human experience. We're not here to have an angelic experience. We're spirit. But we didn't come to this earth to have angelic experience. I know a lot of people are just too holy, too holy that they are no good on this side of eternity. They might as well die and go to heaven and continue with their holiness, right? We're human beings. We're spirit beings, and we've come here to have a human experience, right? We're here to reign. We're here to reign in having a human experience, right? We're not here to be defeated. We're not here to be used, but we're here to reign, right? To reign, right? To be fulfilled, to do all that God, our Creator, has put in us to do, right? Our Creator has fashioned us in a specific way, right? To fulfill purpose. To fulfill purpose. There's an essence of our being. There's a reason for our creation. And that is what we should focus on. We should drive at. We're not here for the sake of being here. We're here to leave a mark, right? There was a reason F needed us to be here, right? And until we fulfill that purpose, that intent, that need of earth that brought us here, we have not lived, right? The good life is fulfilling that purpose, that intent, filling that hole, that void that cannot be filled by anyone else but us. We're created to fill a certain void in life, right? A good life is filling that purpose, leaving that mark. If you die and nobody knows about you, you are a failure, right? You are a failure. You are here to make impact. You are here that such that life will be incomplete without you, right? You are here to make a difference. You are not here to be passive. You are here to be active, right? Leave your mark in life. That is why you are here, right? And hopefully that's what we get to help ourselves with as we discuss and share our time together. Anyway, enough of my pitch talk. Well, I'm going to bring on my slide like I got to do when chapter 7 of our book, The Good Life, and it's talking about the person beside you, right? For those that are joining us for the first time, the book, our book, The Good Life, I'll probably talk more about that as we go into it. But our book here is a summary of our 85 plus year study, in the Harvard School, right? On what does it take to rightly develop as an adult, right? To be able to develop well as an adult, right? Both to have the longevity of life and the breadth, spice of life, right? The richness of life. And the result of the story says is relationship, having the right relationship in the different segment, aspect sections of your life, and the veracity, the richness of those relationships. It's not just having a relationship, right? But it's those relationships being what they ought to be, being rich enough for that you are giving value and you are receiving value. When you do that, then you're able to live the full length of life and also the richness of that life. You are able to live a life that you cannot be easily forgotten, right? You cannot be easily forgotten, right? You will make a difference. You make an impact in this life, right? In a difference and impact in this life, right? So I'm going to bring up my slides here. It's also, and let's share this time together, and learn together. Again, feel free to comment, add your thought, questions, whatever, add to the richness of this section. I'm a learner, right? I'm a soaker. I want to soak everything in, right? Not for the sake of just filling my head, but for the sake of winning in this life, right? So I'm going to bring up my slide here. Um, all right, Mr. Coso, where are you? All right. And again, it's a book written by the two people that used to lead that section of Harvard School on the study of adult development. And it's Robert Waldinger and Max Schutz, right? So they put together a summary of the study, the results, the experiments they did. They've also looked at all the studies, to make it whole, right? Talking about relationship, as much as they said the answer is relationship, they also go ahead and discuss, ways by which we can harness relationship in our lives, so it talks about relationship, the hindrances to relationship, how we can overcome those hindrances. We can have relationship work for us, right? That's all the book gets to talk about. And we come here to chapter 7, which is talking about relating with someone else, especially your partner, your wife, your spouse, your husband, but as much as we're talking about that, we're also talking about relationship with other people, right? It's talking about the person beside you. Typically that would be your spouse, but your spouse is not the only one beside you, right? When you go to work, you have colleagues, you have your children, your own parents, your sibling, so we're going to talk about the whole breadth of the spectrum long. All right, so that's pretty much what we're looking at, and doing this, right? As we do this every Sunday. All right. So again, the topic is the person beside you, and it's the second take on it. This is a quote we're using to run this whole chapter 7. It's a quote at the beginning of the book. And it says, when we were children, we used to think that when we grow up, we would no longer be vulnerable. We used to think it was just because we're children that people interfere into our lives. People come into our space. It's like we don't own a space. People can intrude into us. And when we go into adolescence, especially for the females, they try to get that space. Like my daughter will expect me to knock before I enter a room, but she never knocks before she enters my room, you know. But that's all about the adolescents as they try to create independence. They are moving from the dependent place, as children, as hormones begin to go through their body, pump into their body, and puberty begins to set in, and they begin to move from a child to adolescence. One of those things is that they want to enforce their space. They want to say that they are independent, enforce their independence, as it were. There's a craving for independence, as they go through that, So as children would think that, when we grow up, we will not be vulnerable, but when we grow up, we then find that vulnerability is a tool that we need, to our next life, right? Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, right? So when we grow up, we then tend to make that decision to accept it, because that which we need in our life requires us to be vulnerable. When we're not vulnerable, we'll miss out the essential ingredients of life, so to be alive, Madeleine L'Engle says, is to be vulnerable, right? To be dead is not to be vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, you are able to receive life. When you are not vulnerable, then you are dead. You are not able to receive life. As part of this discussion, we talked about what loneliness is, right? Loneliness is not having the right social, contact, social interaction in your life. Right, that's all what loneliness is. It's not a demon, right? It is just telling you, it's a symptom, just like headache. When you feel lonely, it means that you're having less than the required social interaction you're supposed to have. And that is different for us. The amount of social interaction that we all need is different, right? Especially when you are Sunday, especially if you're an introvert like me, right? I spend more time with myself. I enjoy myself, right? So I spend more time with myself than other people, right? But I still have a certain minimum social interaction that I must have. If I don't have that, I will feel lonely, right? So we all have our minimum. It's different for different people based on your personality. However, if you don't meet that minimum that is for you, you will feel lonely. Loneliness is just simply a symptom telling you that you're not having the right amount of social interaction that you need. Full stop. It has nothing to do whether you are born again, not born again, like Jesus or don't like Jesus, go to church or don't go to church. Zero. It has nothing to do with that. Christians feel lonely. Muslims feel lonely. Atheists feel lonely. It has nothing to do with your spirit. It just has to do with the fact that of the amount of social interaction you are having or not having as against what you need, right? So let's move on. All right. So we started introducing what love is last week, but let's still do a bit more talking about vulnerability, right? So to be alive is to be vulnerable, right? So the problem here is that vulnerability is a place of balance in life, right? It's easy not to be vulnerable, right? It's also easy to be too vulnerable, right? It's that place, and I've said this several times. Stephen King will put it this way. He says the road to hell is paved with adverbs. You know what adverbs are? The quantity of things, right? So the road to hell is paved with us doing either too little or too much, right? Too little or too much. It's easy to do too little. It's easy to do too much. Balance is the essence of living. Balance is the essence of life. Balance is where God is. The devil is in the hard babs. Too little, too much. That's what the devil is. Too little, too much. That's what the devil is. The road to hell, spiritual and temporal, is paved with too little, too much, right? Some people just don't want to be vulnerable at all for whatever reason, right? Oh, I've been hurt before. Oh, I put my heart out there and I trusted somebody and he hurts me. Oh, so I'm not going to trust anybody anymore. So I will not be hurt. It's foolishness, because that same place, the heart that you're closing to heart, is the same place where love comes through. To close your heart means to hurt, means you're also closing your heart to love. Without love, you are dead, right? So life is not about closing your heart. No, life is about to open your heart to everybody. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is my friend. Oh, I'm a friend to everybody. I spend time with anybody that comes my way. Stupid also. That's too much, right? Because the mere fact that you're human means that you have things you like, things you don't like, right? The only way you're going to survive in life is to have what we call functional and healthy boundaries, right? Functional and healthy boundaries that are determined by who you are, right? When you open your door to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you're just simply saying you don't know who you are. Only mad people don't have boundaries, and you're not mad. Because you're not mad, you cannot open your door to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, irrespective of who you are. You can't stand it. There's only so much strength that you have. Use that strength right, right? So you need to have healthy, functional boundaries that protect the personality that you are. Don't let anybody deceive you. You have a personality. That personality has strengths and weaknesses. Your boundaries protect your weaknesses, right? When you protect your weaknesses, then you can shine your strengths, right? So